Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another retro review from past seasons of The Loud House. In today's video, we look at that one episode from season 2 where the dad becomes just like his kids because of his kids, and his kids have to get their dad to stop acting like a crazy person. Today's episode is titled Antisocial. First we'll discuss the plot, and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into it. The episode begins with Lynn Sr. being ignored by his family because they're obsessing over their phones and threatens to cut the internet if they can't lessen their time on them. The kids try to get their dad accustomed to using cell phones and computers to make his life easier, but his newfound love for technology turns him into the obsessive and socially withdrawn person his kids once were. The episode ends with the kids shutting off all the internet in their house while they do various activities with their dad, who at last becomes free of his technological addiction. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. This is another one of those rare examples of a type of story I refer to as right conflict, right message, but it's the wrong character, at least to a degree. While I understand what the episode was trying to demonstrate, Lynn Sr. is not exactly the best character to be used in this scenario. Prior to this episode, he held a job in the field of information technology. When you look through the episode Job Insecurity and see what that kind of job requires, right away this episode begins falling apart on the most basic level of Lynn Sr.'s character. Personally, this episode should have gone to Albert, because at least he's within that age range where a lot of newer technology would be harder for him to understand beyond using a basic webcam. I mean, if the kids can train an old man like Mr. Grouse to become a computer wizard from Job Insecurity, with knowledge he's been able to retain over time, while their own father who once made a career out of working on computers doesn't know dilly squat about them in this episode, it just makes things even more confusing. I guess the only defense to his technological ineptitude would be maybe he was an old-fashioned guy who never felt the need to buy a cell phone at any point in his life, and didn't understand how to send texts, have live streams, and do all that social media stuff today's kids are good at doing. It's funny how Rita can use a phone better than him, and it really shows how far behind in the times this guy is. The future is now, old man. Anyway, it's clear Lynn Sr. realized how great all this technology was, the same way his kids thought it was the best thing ever, and it seemed like he had finally caught up with the rest of the family. But in a shocking twist, he became the exact thing he once hated, only in his case he was going more overboard than the rest of his family. From uploading awkward pictures of his kids, to throwing away food because he doesn't like how it shows up on camera, to growling like a dog if someone takes away his devices, he started depending on technology a lot more than the kids, and let's be honest, it was becoming an addiction. When you have to lie about going to the gym, you know you have a problem. The way he broke down after the internet was shut off proved how dependent he had become, and that's what the episode was all about. The central message to the episode was how today's generation have become so obsessed with the internet and the latest phone and handheld devices that just the idea of not being able to use any of it seems like a fate worse than death. I could also say it demonstrates how one learns to overcome an addiction, and in regard to contemporary technological consumption, the episode is not too far off on what happens when you take away someone's phone. People become so withdrawn from the real world that just a simple face-to-face conversation is asking too much. And I can see why Lynn Sr., or any rational adult born decades ago, would be mad at today's kids for thinking their phones are more important than anything else. The threat to cut the internet may have been a bit extreme, but it's actually not a bad idea if it meant reconditioning his family to learn to live without it. If our grandparents went most of their lives without it, you'd think the kids of the 21st century could also do without it. Well, maybe, but that's too unrealistic. Just look at how the kids freaked out by the threat of having no internet, and then see how their dad acted when the internet was shut off for real. It was, in their own words, like cutting off their oxygen supply. People believe they can't live without this technology since it's become so ingrained in our everyday modern day lives, and seeing how most of everything we do nowadays runs on said technology, it would appear the world could stop turning if something like the internet was shut off. Seeing their dad become so attached to his devices had the kids realizing they were being ignored the same way they were ignoring him, thus creating an interesting role reversal as the episode played out. I would say the only difference between the kids and their dad is they didn't take their phone attachment to the level Lynn Sr. did, but conceptually they understood why getting the cold shoulder from your own family because you buried your face in your phone is not fun whatsoever. I give them props for not only giving up their technology in order to get their dad back to normal, but deciding to wait another day to get their internet back online. It showed how life can be more fun when your eyes aren't glued to a piece of plastic, and mind you, they were born in a generation where computers and social media were always a part of their lives. That ending got me thinking of a little theory. What if, and that's a big if Lynn Sr. knew what he was doing the whole time. What if his plan was to get the kids to make good on his threat of cutting the internet by trying to get them to recognize the error of their technological ways? What if he was only pretending to be obsessed with this new take on technology and only acted the way he did to make sure his kids wouldn't be so attached to their phones after agreeing to get a faster internet speed? He wasn't obsessing over it in the same way as his kids, and he was live streaming and talking in text lingo in a way that makes you believe that he wasn't as dim-witted as everyone believed, including the audience. Either he's a fast learner, or maybe he had something up his sleeve from the start. Regardless, everyone got to keep the internet, and learning that a little time away from it makes for a healthier family and lifestyle. Overall, even though Lynn Sr. wouldn't be my choice to be the main character of this episode, the central takeaway message is what counts the most, and I think it did a good job of demonstrating the pros and cons of technology. It's easy and convenient, but it can also change the way you see and do things if you become too attached to it. The kids didn't think they had a problem until their own father created a problem they were once shamed for in the beginning, and going so far as to disconnect the internet in order to get their lives back to normal was actually pretty good in terms of subtext. The biggest reminder to this episode is that a little moderation with your phone can really make a big difference when it comes to how you engage with others, and more importantly, how you engage with your family. With that said, I give Antisocial a 7.5 out of 10. Well, folks, that concludes my review of Antisocial. While this is Lynn Sr.'s weakest individual episode on my list, I can't say it's among the worst of the series. The worst parent episode is yet to come, but that's a story for another time. So, as far as this episode goes, what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.